Hello and thank you for joining us on the news on NTA International. I am Lami Ali. Shagun Ajayi is the interpreter on the sign language. Let's take the headlines. Combined force of police and Operation Daji in pursuit of armed bandits that kidnapped 317 students of Girls Secondary School Jangibi, Zamfara State, as more notorious bandits surrender. The federal government makes firm commitments to integrating clean cooking to scale up the country's climate change response. Korean International Developments to establish Digital Learning Center in Bauchi. It's now an authority that suspected armed bandits have kidnapped 317 students at Government Girls Secondary School Jangibi in Chalata Mafara local government area of Zamfara State. State Commissioner of Information Suleiman Sunau Anka, who confirmed the incident, said the gunmen stormed the school around 1 a.m. Friday and abducted the students. Meanwhile, operatives of Operation Hardarindaji are currently in pursuit of the abducted students with a view to ensuring their safe release. State Commissioner of Police Abuja, who disclosed this while on assessment visit to the school, said the joint security team, which include Commander Operations Hardarindaji, Major General Aminu Bandi, and the Brigade Commander, 1 Brigade, Nigerian Army Headquarters Gusau, as well as some officials of the state government, have led a heavily armed reinforcement team to Jangibi to complement the ongoing rescue operation in the location where the students are believed to have been taken.
We'll keep you posted. For now, they are in pursuit of the bandits, and the direction they have taken is known. So, with time, new developments may arise coming from these efforts, and then we'll keep you posted.
Okay. How many students were actually kidnapped?
From the principal, 317 students. Yes.
Correspondent Haliru Muhammad Umar reports that the school has been closed following the ugly incidents. Some residents of the community said the abductors forced their way into the school premises through the main gate, which has one security guard who ran away on sighting them. They added that the abductors earlier had an encounter with some security personnel and they exchanged fire. A student who escaped the incident after hiding in a toilet told NTA News that the abductors forced their way in and took the students. And earlier, our correspondent Halur Muhammad Umar visited the school and interacted with the vigilante group and the parents of one of the abductees.
The school is empty. The remaining have been taken away out of the school. But I have with me a parent of one of the students and equally leader of the vigilante group in Jangibe local in Jangibe town here in Tlatumapur local government. Okay. Inshallah. Yeah, the literal translation of what the leader of the vigilante group is saying is that they actually went after them, get close to them, they exchanged fire, and eventually when the vehicle of the army met them, they took them, but eventually it stuck into the bush that they can no longer go after them. They actually got one of them, but he took to his heels because he abandoned his vehicle. Okay, the little translation of what he is saying is that they got to know of the situation around 2 a.m. in the morning, but to them they thought the bandits are coming after their cattle. But eventually at around 4 to 5, they were able to understand that it was the students of this school that they have taken away.
And latest news coming from Zamfara indicates that Governor Bello Muhammad has reassured parents of the abducted students of Government Girls Secondary School Jangibi of government's commitments to ensure speedy rescue of the abductees. The governor, who stated this in a broadcast to the people of the state over the sad events, directed immediate closure of all boarding schools across the state. There will be more information on the broadcast in our subsequent bulletin. Meanwhile, the president of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, has condemned the attack on government secondary school Jangebe in Zamfara State, where hundreds of schoolgirls were abducted. In a statement by the special advisor to the president on media, the Senate and publicity, Senator Lawan expressed sadness and outrage that the incident happened while efforts were still being made to rescue those abducted just over a week ago at another secondary school in Kagara, Niger State. The Senate President said the recurrent attacks on schools and other attacks of banditry call for intense soul searching on how the nation arrived at this sorry state and how to cage the monster of violent crimes in Nigeria. He urged the authorities at all levels to work together to ensure their immediate rescue, and also reiterated his call on the state authorities to accord priority to securing schools and other locations now seen as soft targets by savage criminals. Reacting to the incident, the Minister of Women Affairs, Pauline Tallen, in a statement says she is desolate and worried, therefore appealing to all those engaged in these mindless acts to free children in captivity and allow Nigeria to thrive, saying it is heartbreaking as the nation is yet confronted with another activity of gunmen who stormed another secondary school in Zamfara and kidnapped 317 female students, while the nation was still grappling with the kidnap of the Kagara boys. The minister says as Nigerian women, mothers and nurturers of life, they can no longer pretend that this is not affecting their psyche. She implores security agencies to do the needful and urge Nigerian women to come together at this time to condemn in strong words this mindlessness and also raise voices in prayers. The Nigeria Police Force says it has commenced a search and rescue operation involving the deployment of ground and aerial assets to locate and rescue the students of Government Girls Secondary School, Jangebe, Zamfara State. A statement by the force indicates that the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, has ordered the deployment of 2 operational surveillance helicopters to Zamfara State. This is in addition to the personnel of Operation Puff Added 2, earlier deployed to the state to support efforts by the command to combat banditry, kidnapping and other related crimes. The IGP, while condemning the abduction of the innocent female students, assures that the police and other security forces will not relent until the abducted students are successfully rescued and reunited with their families. The IGP also called for calm and enjoins members of the public, particularly the people of Zamfara State, not to hesitate in availing the law enforcement community with useful information to assist in the rescue of the abducted schoolgirls. As dialogue and reconciliation with armed bandits initiated by Zamfara State government progresses, a notorious commander of the bandits in the state, Sani Zakwi, and his 10 lieutenants have renounced banditry and embraced peace. Zakwi is the eldest son of the late paramount leader of the armed bandits in Zamfara State, Buhari Ndaji, who was killed in 2018. The repentant bandits took oath with the glorious Quran at Government House Gusau, proclaiming that they have repented from all sorts of criminal activities. Weapons surrendered by the repentant bandits include 8 AK-47 rifles, rocket launcher, and large cache of live ammunition. Zamfara State Governor Bello Muhammad says the development has confirmed the glad tidings by a number of bandits who had earlier repented and laid down their arms, adding that more of their colleagues from across the state would embrace the peace deal. And we also have an update on Kagara school abduction as given by our correspondent Abdullahi Muhammad, who has been on ground there.
Security agent and a lot of other movement. Massive resources are being put together to ensure that these boys are released. I really don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but for us here, we're seeing it with our eyes. We've seen movement. We've had a lot of negotiations going on, very fruitful, and that is also giving hope to the families.
Still on security matters, as the federal government intensifies efforts to end kidnapping, banditry and communal clashes, the need for traditional rulers to be assigned constitutional roles has again been reiterated. Oba Abdulrashid Adewale Akombi Oluwo of Iwo, who made the call after a courtesy visit to the Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, said traditional rulers should be appropriately recognized for them to be able to address issues before they lead to ethnic or communal crisis. Also commenting on the farmers' hardest clashes, the war monarch says the pastoralists should be trained and encouraged to adopt modern method of ranching.
We are on the brink of ethnic crisis. People talking about divisions, secession. Well, I want us to know that unity is the best for this country. And also, criminals need to be prosecuted. The issue about the Fulani herdsmen and the South needs to be addressed, which is addressed in the way that farmers should be able to farm, and the herders need to be educated in a modern way of ranching.
State House correspondent Gideon Ifadi reports that the traditional ruler also recommended improvements of welfare for the police and monitoring of the nation's borders to put an end to arms and small weapon proliferation in the country. You're watching the news on NTA International, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital city. We're taking a short break now. More reports when we return.
I am there now. Are you sure this will work?
I can't miss this guy's lecture. Just keep your phone on so I can listen.
Today we're going to be discussing sleep disorder. What is the medical term for sleepwalking?
Sonambulism.
Correct.
Get free Intel to Intel calls and experience HD quality conversations every time. Intel. Live more.
Somalia sees surge in COVID-19 cases just as West African countries ramp up Ebola preparedness. Obiageli Woki has the details on these and more on Global Update.
Somalia has recorded more than 1,200 cases of COVID-19 this month, compared with 70 last month. The African Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says the number of confirmed cases now stands at 6,687, up from 4,784. The government had promised that vaccines donated through the Global COVAX initiative would arrive before the end of February. Meanwhile, global deaths related to COVID-19 have surpassed 2.5 million. In Nigeria, 634 new confirmed cases were recorded on Thursday, raising the country's total caseload to 154,476, with 1,891 fatalities. As Ebola immunization scales up in Guinea, the country's neighboring nations are on high alert, urgently preparing to detect, isolate, and manage any cases and quickly stamp out potential cross-border outbreaks. 9 cases, including 5 deaths, have been reported in Guinea. All 6 nations bordering Guinea are finalizing their national preparedness and operational plans in line with World Health Organization's readiness assessment tool. WHO has disbursed $1.25 million to support the response in Guinea and to reinforce Ebola readiness in neighboring countries. In other news, at least 2 people have lost their lives and hundreds arrested in the unrest that arose in Niger after the announcement of the presidential election results. Niger's Interior Minister Alkauchi Alheda says 468 people have been arrested so far, including politicians. That's Global Update. Thank you for your time. I'm Obiageli Ugoke.
And in other news, the federal government has made a firm commitment to integrate clean cooking to scale up the country's climate change response. Now, despite efforts by the government to transit to liquefied petroleum gas, wood and charcoal continue to serve as a major cooking fuel for many households. The International Center for Energy, Environment and Development is therefore increasing awareness campaign on clean cooking alternatives to combat climate change. Let's join Nengi Fineface.
Forest covers assist in checking global warming by absorbing carbon dioxide and supporting biodiversity. Amid global advocacy for increased forest covers through tree planting, several homes in Nigeria continue to rely on trees from the forest for domestic fuel, thereby increasing deforestation. Charcoal and firewood used as cooking fuel increase household carbon emissions and contribute to global warming.
Ensuring that more and more of our households will convert to cooking with cooking gas. When we do this, we save our own lives, save the lives of our women and children.
This Clean Cook Stoves workshop, organized by the International Center for Energy, Environment and Development, is exploring clean cooking alternatives in line with Nigeria's revised nationally determined contribution to reduce carbon emissions and combat climate change.
If we can promote domestic production and reduce imports by up to 80%, then we can drive down costs and also improve the supply chain for LPG.
Experts want relevant agencies of government to educate Nigerians, especially rural dwellers, on the dangers of using kerosene, firewood and charcoal for cooking and the need to embrace clean cooking fuel like liquefied petroleum gas.
Because a lot of consumers in the real rural areas don't know the value proposition that comes with clean cooking.
They advocate the provision of cleaner alternatives that will be available and affordable for the people. In Abuja, Onengiye Fineface, NTA News.
In labor matters now, the industrial action embarked upon by members of the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, SANU, and the Non-Academic Staff Union of Universities, NASU, has been cut off with effect from today, 26 February 2021. The Secretary of NASU and spokesperson of the Joint Action Committee of the two unions, Peter Adeyemi, disclosed this after a closed-door meeting between the committee and representatives of the federal government. Joseph Hudson reports.
Under the umbrella of Joint Action Committee, the two unions have been negotiating with government to come to an understanding and call off the industrial action. This particular deliberation has yielded positive results.
Those areas that needed to be harmonized have been harmonized to the satisfaction of both parties, and resulting from that development, we have agreed that this ongoing national strike in the universities and inter-university centers should be suspended.
Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, expressed government desire to restore normalcy in the universities for full academic activities to strive.
With the normalcy restored in that university system, we intend to do the visitation panel, which is one of the agreements we reached with them, and which cannot be carried out without normalcy in the university system.
Since the 5th of February 2021, the two unions embarked on strike, demanding better funding, payment of allowances, and improvement of welfare packages. In Abuja, Joseph Sound Oten, NTA News.
The Korean International Development Agency will establish a digital learning center in Bauchi State under its Smart School project. Country Director of the agency in Nigeria, Wu Chan Chang, gave the indication in Bauchi during a courtesy visit, and Governor Bala Mahmoud Ibn Muhammad has that story.
Wu Chan Chang, who pledges his agency's commitment towards ensuring Nigeria attains enviable standard in quality education service delivery, stressed the need for prompt and concerted efforts in addressing basic education delivery challenges.
If we do not invest, if we do not pay our attention to public education, it is very difficult to close the gap, because other African countries, other world, then
definitely we have hope. We have hope for our future because the future is going to be led by our children. Education is the key, and we must take the blaze and the bull by the horn if we are going to succeed.
The Smart School project is expected to massively contribute to the digital transformation of the education sector in Bauchi State. In Bauchi, Mahmoud Ibn Muhammad, NTA News.
Meanwhile, stakeholders have called for a comprehensive national instrument on data and privacy protection in national legislation to drive the digital economy in Nigeria. This is against the background of scattered pieces of legislation with limitations to protect data and privacy in Nigeria. This was as a webinar on law and policy conference with the theme Protecting Digital Consumers and Assets, Privacy and Digital Economy, organized by the Nigerian Institute of Advanced Legal Studies. Judiciary correspondent Vera Chimba has more.
The webinar is to interrogate existing applicable laws and identify loopholes that are detrimental to Nigeria's digital economic agenda. Minister of Communications and Digital Economy said Nigeria has a strong regulatory framework. He challenged the stakeholders on the effective implementation, monitoring and enforcement to drive the digital economy.
You will come up with some recommendations that will guide the federal government to either come up with a legislation or policy or subsidiary legislation.
Speakers and discussants provide divergent views on cybersecurity challenges. Former Director General, ECOWAS Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering in West Africa, Abdullahi Shehu, called for research on new technologies with multi-sectoral legal and regulatory framework in place. A lead consultant, Bamidele Ayimebo, who reviewed Nigeria's national blockchain policy and strategy, said it is silent on international trade. Director General of the Institute asked the National Assembly to expedite action on the bill before it.
Look at our scattered pieces of instruments that we as the Institute, as the Apex Legal Institute, we are currently reviewing them to identify gaps in them with a view to proposing a draft legal instrument, for consideration by federal government on digital economy.
President Muhammad Buhari recently launched a national cybersecurity policy and strategy with emphasis on economic growth and mitigation of crime. In Abuja, Vera Chimba, NTA News.
One of the key priorities of the Nigerian government is the reform of its security system towards ensuring peace and security that will guarantee fundamental human rights. This was contained in a message by Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Minister Geoffrey Onyema to the 46th session of Human Rights Council. Adebola Brooklyn Sunday reports.
Terrorism, insurgency, banditry and other acts of criminality are some of the challenges facing most countries in the world.
The 46th session of the Human Rights Council.
In a video message to the high-level segments of the council, Geoffrey Onyema said Nigeria is addressing the challenges from all fronts.
Nigeria believes that the promotion and protection of human rights are important elements in achieving sustainable global peace and security, as well as the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals. In addition, we must continue to discourage populist political narratives, the spread of fake news, hate speech, incitement to hatred and violence, with a view to ensuring peace and harmony in our societies.
I now invite the Secretary General, His Excellency
UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said the benefits to universal human rights being upheld will lead to better crisis management, among other advantages.
Human rights will not lead to a healthier world if they are only available to the privileged few. We need renewed, concerted global determination to ensure the protection of human rights of all people, everywhere, and in all situations.
The UN chief appealed to all member states to ensure that the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, the treaty body mechanism, and other critical human rights activities have the necessary means to implement their mandates and fulfill the shared promise to protect and advance human rights. Adebola Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
National Principals Cup begins in Lagos. Details on sports updates.